So, we
There you go.
live. Okay, so we're live. Kim.
Yes.
Oh, I know how we're gonna start. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you, Kim Kim. Happy birthday to you. Is that a good way to start?
You. That's a beautiful way to start.
So many years and that wisdom you bring here. And I'm joining you in 2 months. We're in January.
Oh, yes, you're joining me in 2 months. Yes, at this milestone birthday. Yes, yes.
We're gonna be both of us half a century.
Half a
What
century.
do two women of half a century do on a Saturday, January 11th, 2025? They gathered 2025. No, they gathered 25 women. The room won't stand 2025 women.
Not this time.
25 women entrepreneurs and leaders to create a vision. And Kim, merci d'être là because I wanted to kind of bring the elephant in the room. Vision. It's such a word that everybody and their dogs use.
Yeah.
And so let's demystify this. And the reason why I wanted to take time, I took my tea. It's just I want to share with all of you guys how visions really change our lives, you and I. And it's not about making a course or anything around what a vision does to you. What do a vision do to you? What does a vision do? Oh my God, I'm tired. But how do you use it and why? That's more about this. And I want us to give examples of how it changed our lives. Anything you want to jump in? First, introduce yourself. Coach Kim, by the way.
Coach Kim. I am Kim Tenko, transformational coach for leaders and entrepreneurs. And the work that I do helps them remove the invisible blocks, the limiting blocks that they have, so they can access more clarity, more impact, and really master who they are, their inner game. Yeah, so vision is a big part of this, the work that I do. And
you also, I want to say, Coach Kim, you're also one of the coaches in Magic with Social Media Love that we just wrapped up. So you have a bunch of fans here online who love you so much. That's why you're going to fly from Manitoba to Moncton, New Brunswick, because you fell in love with New Brunswick in November, right? Yes. Tell us what you love the most about New Brunswick, because for New Brunswickers, it's quite funny, but at the same time, it's so cool.
Well, it has to be the people first, for sure. The women in the group that we ran last fall, Magic with Social Media Love, getting to know them, working with them, and having them trust in me as their coach and do that deep inner work that they did to transform first themselves and then their businesses. That was a gift, a really magical experience, and really special to be trusted in that way and be such a big part of their transformations. So the people first. But second, there's something that reminded me a lot of Manitoba there, but more trees than in my part of Manitoba. So yeah, it just
more
felt
trees.
More
I love
trees.
that. I love it. When you when you told me this, I loved it so much. Okay, so you're gonna come back to see the trees and more new people. Okay, so a vision. Let's go there. A vision. What is a vision, and how did you use a vision? And before we start to share our stories with visioning and what it does, I wanted to bring a point that is. We do it anyway, whether we don't want or not. We always imagine. And the thing is, most of the time, if you don't pay attention, you imagine the worst. And then that's why so much of our lives are frustrating, because we keep worrying about what we don't want or what we hope that it doesn't happen. And then most of the time, it's exactly where you go, because wherever you put your attention is where your energy flows, whether you are intentional or not about it. So that's why we use a vision. And we wanted to share with you one or two examples that everybody knows. It was the Olympics recently, and I could put my hand in fire that every Olympians, you say that Olympians,
every Olympian, yeah,
probably did some visualization before they did their competition. Musicians do the same. I have a friend. Hi, Sophie. She helps musicians, artists to first envision their performance before they hit the stage. So what we do in Moncton on Saturday is exactly that. You are the Olympian of your life. You are the Olympian of your business. And you got to envision what's coming in 2025 so that you get to receive it and even more.
exactly.
What do you think about this? Is that a good way to summarize what we're going to be doing?
You brought up the exact point, exactly where I was going to start. And there's two things that came out of what you said for me that I'll expand on a little bit, and then I can share an example of how being intentional with vision what impact that's had for me. So intentional, that's the number one thing I wanted to pull out. You mentioned that we're always creating. And that's something that a really key point that we want to come through tonight in this conversation is that if you're not being intentional about what you're creating, it doesn't mean that you're not creating, right? You want certain outcomes in your life, in your business, in your leadership role, or whatever it is. But if you're not intentional about what it is you're creating and you're not focused on that and you don't have a vision to guide you, you don't have something pulling you forward, you don't have a specific vision to focus on from which to create what you want, then what happens instead is you're creating from autopilot. You're creating from where you've been, what you've been creating in the past, you want to create more of, right? You have evidence already for what you're creating, you're living in it. And so when you're not intentional, you're still creating, but you're creating from autopilot. That's the number one point.
Recreating the past. You creating the past.
More of the same right there. Okay. So if you want something different from more of the same, this is important. It's really important that you pay attention and bring visioning into your practice. The second thing I wanted to pull out of what you said that's a really important point is how this is a common practice for elite athletes and performers of all kinds, because visioning accelerates your results. And you and I have a lot of stories around that. Yeah, did you just get the chills? You create a vision. We've both had this experience. You write something down in your vision, and it's your 1-year vision, and 6 months later, your mind is blown because there it is, you're living it. I just feel like before I share an example, you have such a powerful example of that. Why don't you share the acceleration piece, an example that shows that? I just love it. You know what I'm thinking about? If you don't,
well, I don't know which one, but the one that blew my mind the most, I'm going to share that. And it's not the most recent.
Okay.
So I just want to share with all of you. So when we do Magic with Social Media Love, we spend even more time on a vision. And I remember the very first time, my first cohort, 3 or 2 years ago, I was like teaching them how to create a vision. And I'm like, I'm going to show you. I'm going to read to you my vision, my very first vision. So it was like 2 years before that. And I never reread it really recently. And I read the vision. And like, I almost fainted. The last sentence of the vision was exactly what I just did like the month before. It was saying, because I read my vision to my grandmother, the one who's dead. And I said, oh, Mimi, you never guess what happened this year. And I said, at the end, it says, I even went to France to celebrate my birthday with my family as I was running a retreat with women entrepreneurs in a luxury hotel. And I was just back from that. And I'm like, oh, shit. I know it worked, but I even forgot that it was on my vision. And then when I read it to my students, I was like, I cannot give you a better proof.
Yeah.
It's right there.
So that's the acceleration. And you just reminded me of a third important point. So I'm stacking on the two first points, intentional acceleration and stretch. Stretch is a huge part of this. When I have thought in the past before being introduced to this work and ways of using vision to create intentional results in an accelerated way, part of I was maybe creating things that felt really doable to me at the time in my vision, or putting those things into my vision. And what I've learned through this work is that, we really are stretching ourselves when we write our visions now. We're writing things that
don't make sense.
really feel impossible to current us, right?
Yes.
And I think what you just shared is an example of that. It was a stretch vision, something that felt like, okay, I don't know how this is going to happen, but this is what I'm putting in my vision. And then it happened.
Yeah. It's so cool how the brain, and it's everything is very scientific. There is no magic into this. In case your mind is trying to tell you, oh, they're woo woo or whatever. It's pure science, and we have more and more proof around how the brain works and all the things, and we're not going to get into the details. But once you know how you use your brain and your body and your thoughts and your emotions, and to make it work, it needs a beautiful I don't know, child where you have fun more and more in your life.
Yeah.
And you are more and more empowered, because that means that each time you start envisioning deliberately with intention what happens, you make it happen. And it's not a synchronicity, or it's not a, oh my God, I can't believe it happened. You made it happen.
Yeah.
You made it happen. You are so powerful. And that's why we go to Moncton. Like usually it's cohort, it's small groups, but we're going public.
Yes, we're going public in Moncton.
It's actually by the way.
Right. Anything is possible. Everything is possible. Everything is possible. I've been saying this, and I think, it's easy for people to just brush that off and go, well, yeah, sure, but I have these limitations, these things, these realities in my life that make that not possible for me right now. And from where I stand, just no, right?
Could you share like how
Yeah.
your vision really helped you? Like the first time I met you, I was online, and you were the quietest person ever. And then,
Yeah,
no,
right.
but you were, and suddenly you I don't know, something happened, and then you did massive action that I'm still in awe of. How, if you don't mind to share, how did the visioning and the visualization of this help you make it happen and live in a reality that you would probably never have guessed you were able to live in?
Gosh, well, it wouldn't have happened without all of the practice, right? The visioning. I think I needed. No, let me rephrase that. So I wanted to start with saying, yeah, when I was the quietest person in the room, in those rooms where we first met, I was there because I felt called there. But yet when I got there, that what we call, or what is known as, imposter syndrome set in big. Like, whoa, do I belong here? What am I doing here? Right. So what you were seeing in me as the quietest person in the room was that incredible discomfort of, okay, I've put myself in this room because I followed this nudge, this pull to be there. And now I'm there. And like, whoa, outside of my comfort zone, right? So in those same rooms is where we were introduced to this practice that we use, this visioning, and that we've made our own, I suppose, in ways over time. But what I started to say that I want to share that really was impactful was believing in it, was actually just letting go of any, like, oh, that's not for me, or that only works for other people, or whatever the mind wants to tell you, right? The work that we do, there's a mindset's a really important part of it. And we'll be going into that in our session on the 11th. And that's a big part of the work I do too as a mindset mentor. So mindset was a big part of it. Releasing any of those limiting thoughts, the things the mind wanted to, the thoughts the mind wanted to offer about how, well, this is for other people who have bigger dreams and whatever. I don't even remember the limiting thoughts, but I really had to let go of that and just embrace the process. And I gotta say that when I first did, I don't even know that I had a lot of trust in it, right? It was more just this, okay, well, this is what I'm doing because I guess I want something and I'm being told this works, so I'll give it a try. What have I got to lose? But practicing it and then experiencing it changed everything. And that's the point I'm getting at. You cannot sit back and go, well, whatever, that's not for me, if you're not willing to put yourself in the ring and give it a try first. And that's kind of how I approach life. I'm not going to tell you, or I'm not going to let myself believe that something isn't for me or doesn't work or any of that if I haven't first tried it myself. So that was an important piece. So one of the, you know, things that I was visioning on at the time was leaving my full-time career and starting a business. And it wasn't even that. I don't remember the details of what the smaller vision, because I've used this for big things and I use this for small everyday things. I might want to transform something this month. Here's an example. This is something really recent. I wanted to transform how I feel when I'm standing on a stage in front of 250 people. Okay, because historically, my nervous system would get very hijacked in that scenario, and that hijacking would put me into sort of a fight, flight, freeze kind of response, which basically would cut me off from my brain and not give me access to that flow that I want to be in when I'm speaking publicly. So I used visioning for that. And I envisioned, so here's where it gets, I'm gonna just bring in a little bit about the layers of what it is. We're not just picturing something when we talk about visioning. That's a part of it. But we're actually bringing in the whole emotional experience, the human experience with it. So I wasn't just imagining myself in that scenario. I was imagining myself in that scenario, feeling how I wanted to feel. And not just imagining it, but then actually feeling it. And actually feeling it through to how do I feel while I'm doing it? But more importantly, how do I feel when it's done? And that's where I was starting to generate some real powerful energy around just celebrating myself and feeling ecstatic and really in my own imagination, just truly feeling like I had just delivered the most incredible talk to a room of 250 people and how I actually feel when I've done that. And by doing that, I was able to transform in a very short time how I actually, stood in front of a room that size and spoke. And
tell us how you felt on the stage that day.
I felt present, completely connected to the flow. That's the word I use for it, but the sort of, completely connected to my creative mind and my brain, and I could think clearly, and I wasn't losing my words like I had experienced in the past. I didn't even feel nervous. I felt calm. I felt present. And I felt really connected to the people I was speaking to. And what I didn't feel was any concern at all about what they might be thinking of me or what I'm saying at all. It was gone. And it was purely about just being really connected to the message and the people receiving it. It was all for them. It was a beautiful, yeah, just sharing the message is what I was focused on instead of what I might have been focused on in the past, which was more like kind of like, oh, gee, well, how do I look? What am I saying? What am I saying? How do I sound? Those sort of more, self-doubt and judgmental kind of thoughts.
And I love that you share this. Thank you, Kim, because that's kind of what we're going to be doing, co-creating together our vision for 2025. So let's take that stage experience, for a full year, you're going to be able to walk through all the things that you desire. So we're going to connect you with your desire. And I know by experience that when you're a busy lady, when you have 100 hats to connect with that desire, most of the time you connect through the frustration first.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't have the time. I never do this. I never do that. So that's why we create the space and the time. That's why I'm honoring all of you right now. Like we have already 2/3 of the room filled. Is that 2/3 or half? Or a little more than half? And I know that there's some of you right now trying to figure out how the heck I'm going to spend my Saturday, and I want the VIP. How am I going to make it work? So I
Yeah.
know what it takes to leave home, to leave the kids, to leave the clients, to leave everything and not to cook. I used to do stuff like that and cook for a week for the home because I was feeling guilty to let them be. That's me. I'm not saying it's others, but it's learning how to prioritize yourself.
Yeah.
And what if you prioritize yourself? You create a beautiful vision for yourself. And in that vision, there is also your family and there is also your business or whatever, the next chapter of your life. And it's calm, it's in flow, as you say, right?
Yeah.
And the more you take time for yourself to create the reality you want to create, I cannot tell you what it feels like. You have to experience it. That's the only way. So that's our invitation for you to join us. Take the leap. Take the $500 for the day. If you want the VIP, treat yourself. VIP is an amazing way to learn how to treat yourself even more and receive. If you expect people to buy VIP ticket from your business, you got to buy VIP tickets to feel it. It's all about the feeling, as you said. So, okay, I'm getting excited there. But
Okay. Yeah.
let's come back to, this is a space and time where you're going to be with Kim and I, and the magic of a circle of women. Like the women who are coming, most of them don't know each other, and it's going to be
Yeah.
like so magical. So much. We're going to co-regulate together. We're going to build together, and it's going to be so magical.
There's two things. There's three things. There's three things you said that I really want to highlight so they're not missed. The third one that I just tacked on, I originally said two. There's a third, it was community. So I think that point has hit home. But for those who haven't done this kind of thing before, where you've joined in a community of women leaders and entrepreneurs, I want you just to know that there is nothing like the relationships created in that room, even on a single day, like what we're doing here. This is going to be an incredibly supportive place where everyone will be lifting one another up, and you benefit from the energy of the other women there, and it's just a gorgeous experience. So that's one thing you mentioned. But there's two things I just wanted to make sure from what you shared before that are highlighted. Something you said a little bit earlier, you used the word fun, and I wanted to just emphasize that that's something that you and I have both noticed or experienced through this process of creating a year-long vision. Is you actually, when you are more intentional about what you're creating, you actually have more room for fun. This isn't about working harder this year, having a vision so you can put in more effort and you're actually going to make more happen while having more fun, because you're going to release the need to be figuring out all along, what do I want now? What do I want now? You've got it. You've got that part figured out. And you get to just come back to that over and over and bring a lot of levity with it, because that's where, if we're not having fun while we're doing this, we're not doing it. Right? I'm out. And the other piece was the focus that you gain. You come and spend a day dedicating, committing your What did you just say about investing in yourself or prioritizing? That's the word I'm looking for. You prioritize yourself for a day to really go within and discover, what are those blind spots? Where do I need to focus? And you pull out that nugget of, wow, this is the thing I really need to focus on or get to focus on this year. You have that for the whole year. And that's a really powerful, like a lighthouse guiding you through the rest of the year. So I just
Yeah.
wanted to really highlight those pieces you mentioned.
Yeah, your vision is your GPS, that's the thing. It's like you're going there. You don't even have to remember the vision because when it's you, it will guide you. And then you're going to read it 2 years later. It's like, oh my God, everything happened.
Yeah.
Okay, Kim, I'm going to let you go. All of you watching now, thank you for the heart. I see some hearts. Yeah, there will be a lot of love on Saturday, like so much love. And we're gonna be dancing too, so So let's say this: if you are a little scared of what we're talking about and you're on the fence, it's a sign that you will get there.
Fear is the blueprint. Don't ask questions. We'll explain later. If you're afraid, just join us.
If you're someone who said, well, I've done this before, know what? The brain loves repetition. And the more you do it, the more in trust you are. What happens when you're in trust? You open up even more and you go deeper and wilder. So
well said.
And then if you have no idea what we're talking about, ask us questions. DM me, DM Kim, ask in the comments. And if you are wondering, like, well, I don't know anybody, I promise you, after 5 minutes and 35 seconds, you will feel that you have a new family.
5 minutes and 35 seconds? Okay.
And Kim and I are here for you anyway.
Yeah. You can tell.
Yes, I want to also acknowledge my beautiful friend Jill, who will be with us, and our beautiful friend Von Di Piero, who's our breath expert. We will use your breath as well as many other things in your body. But, well, I mean, what does it sound like? Okay, we're going to do some breathing.
Maybe it's time to end the live. You're getting more and more tired. But I think what you just meant to say there is that, it's a full body experience because,
it's a
we're tapping into the wisdom of the body.
Yeah.
Creating that ease and flow by doing so.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you, Kim.
You're welcome. I've got your back.
Okay. So I think all around those videos there is links that brings you to it's called It's Possible for Me, because that's one of the things that for a long time was stopping me, is that I didn't know, I didn't believe, I didn't feel, I didn't know that I belong. You belong to anything you want to belong. You belong, that's it. And so once you know and you feel that you belong and you believe it, then it's possible for you. Not just for the neighbor or for your friends or for whoever, right? So it's possible for me. It's possible for me. It's the theme of our get together. And I can't wait to hear all the stories and what can come out of all of this. And to meet all of you. Some of you I don't know, so that's so cool. And Kim, the same for you. There's plenty of people you don't know, so that's why it's fun. Like, we're gonna connect new people together with people that we know, and that's how we grow.
Yeah.
So thank you, Kim, for being part of that journey.
Oh, it's my absolute pleasure.
So I'll pick you up at the airport on Friday.
Okay. If anybody wants to join me from Manitoba, just,
oh my God,
slide into my DMs. Let's go.
A tour New Brunswick.
Absolutely. New Brunswick, #1 new fan, would love to bring more people.
Yes. Okay. Awesome. Okay. And then we could get a limousine if you guys are a lot of people coming.
Okay, there's a promise. There's a challenge to the internet. If enough people come with me, we can get a limousine. Excellent.
The Manitoba delegation. Okay. So Saturday, January 11th from 9:30 to 5, and then there is a VIP option where, so it's at the day is at the Wingate Hotel in Dieppe. And then when you take the VIP option, we have a fine dining experience after the event across the street in one of my favorite restaurants in New Brunswick called Atelier Tony. And Kim knows about it.
Favorite too. Yeah, absolutely.
And then you have a bed at the hotel that is included in your VIP ticket. And then the next morning, not only we have breakfast together, but we're going to do a deepening session where we're going to take what came up for you during the Vision Day and how do we bring that in your plan for your 91st day of the year. That's what we're going to be doing. So all of this is explained on the link that is around this video or in the comments. And if you can find it, DM me. But you should have everything there. Just book your ticket, take a deep breath in, come and join us because we're fun. Oh, I see some comments in there. Sheila, hello, Sheila, look at this.
Sheila,
I know that would be so nice if you were there. Oh, actually, you are in Europe right now. I think.
Dr. Joe in LA.
Oh, you're back in LA and you're going to Dr. Joe. Oh my God, we will be connecting somewhere over there.
We will. Yeah, we'll be absolutely connected this weekend. That's amazing, Sheila.
Enjoy. Okay, thank you so much, Kim.
Okay,
stay backstage with me and ciao, everybody. And share with a friend who needs maybe that day more than you do. Maybe you can't, but someone else can. So share it with them. Okay, ciao, bye-bye.